Hello, everyone, and welcome to Four Lads Rangers Monday Night Live. I hope everybody is well. Kenny and Davey join me as per usual. Gentlemen, Kenny, how are you tonight? You well?
I'm not bad, mate. I hope you're well too. Yep, just busy day at work, so hi.
Well, I'm still employed, Kenny. It's been a week. I can see the life draining out of Chris when he tries to show me something every day. Kenny, actually, folks, Kenny knows my new boss, and we actually knows him quite well. We've been friends in the same boot for a while. And poor Chris, I can see the life draining out of him as he tries to show me something new every single day.
Yeah, he's a good lad, is Chris. He was having a pop at me today on a chat. He was telling me that apparently Sir John Reid is my best pal or something like that. Can't remember what the conversation was. It must have been from a few years ago. Quite funny. Obviously not true, but that's Chris for you.
Davey, how are you, mate? Fresh from what is an absolutely incredible Jock Wallace documentary. Well done, mate. I'm going to tell you that live on air. It's absolutely brilliant. You've done yourself proud there, mate.
Oh, a bit of love. You know what I thought of the big man. I just hope the viewers enjoy it, because certainly I enjoyed making it. As for tonight, international break, don't you just love it? Bring on the Rangers, as they say.
Yeah, I never thought it would be possible to miss Rangers, but it's been actually very, very quiet. Let's start with some news over the weekend. Leon King has left the club. He has joined Ayr United on loan until the end of the season. His contract is up at the end of the season, so no doubt Leon King has played his last game for the club. Davey, we'll start with you. How do you feel about the whole Leon King situation? I've got a bit of an opinion, which I'm going to give, but how do you feel about it?
I think the parting of the ways was pretty inevitable. It's looked that way for quite a while, really, hasn't it? When he first broke in to the squad, great things were expected. I don't know whether he just didn't physically fill out enough, but he never really impressed as a centre-half. I think he get hung out to dry a lot in the Champions League year that we were in it, when he was playing beside the likes of James Sands at the back. I don't think that done him much good. But he hasn't really kicked on. And when he went out on loan last year at Queen's Park, and I don't think he particularly impressed there either. So I think, as I say, the parting of the ways is inevitable. I think he's on a decent contract, so I can understand why he's hanging on until it's finished, because I don't think he'll get another one like it. I think all we can do is wish him well, and we'll see how he goes on in life after Rangers, because I don't think he's got a future at our club.
Kenny, what's your thoughts on Leon King and his move to Ayr United, which undoubtedly most likely sees him play his last game for the club?
Well, I think it was kind of dealt with quite early on in the window, wasn't it? He was kind of told that he wasn't going to be here, and it's a shame for the boy, because when he was a young lad, he was a captain of the B team, really young, and I think you're expecting a boy like that to progress and build and grow and be a better player. And there was talks of him way back then, a potential future Rangers captain, but the Champions League stuff from a few years ago kind of done him in a bit. But if you're being 100% honest, he's just never progressed the way you would have hoped he would have, and he's not a very good defender, Davey. If I'm being 100% honest, Stevie as well. There, it's just one of those things that, yeah. Good luck to the boy, but not a Rangers player, so I'm not fit enough to be a Rangers player, if you know what I mean. Just not progressed the way you would hope he would. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. Good luck with it, with the rest of his career. And yeah, Ayer's a strange one as well, isn't it? It's when you were talking about going to Wickham and stuff like that, going down to the Championship is not the ideal scenario for him, I don't think.
Okay, couple of things to say on it. First of all, good luck to Leon King. Absolutely smashing lad. Always made himself available for fan media. Always spoke away to us. And I mean from being a young kid, making it all the way through. Absolutely terrific lad. He comes from a really good family. I wish him all the very best if life is away from Rangers as it appears to be. I think we've got a bit of a duty of care here in terms of Leon King. We should have released him a few years ago to go and play football elsewhere. I don't know how much we actually tried to do that. I would have loved to have seen him go out on loan a lot earlier than we've actually tried to facilitate it. I really hope he goes down there and does really well. It's a catch-22. I'm not honestly overjoyed with his managerial choice, but we can't hoard kids, and we need to be a lot more careful about what we do. And I would put Robbie Fraser and things into that bracket as well. Give him a 2-year extension when there wasn't really much viable opportunity for him to ever get game time. I think we've got a wee bit of duty there to do our best by the boys in terms of helping them progress. Leon King, I think, never really recovered from being centre-back in the Champions League under Gio and stuff. I would have liked to have seen him get a run and maybe in defensive midfield or at right back at some point. But they're just, when you look at it, how does he get in front of Tav and things like that? So it's 6-1 for me in terms of Leon King. I really do wish him all the best. But as a club, just my opinion, and that's all it is, doesn't mean it's right. I would like to see us not hold on to boys way longer than we should. We've been actually a wee bit more ruthless in the summer. I was surprised by one of the ones we let go. When you look at Archie Stevenson's and Christian Webster's and stuff like that. So maybe they are changing tact on that. But certainly wish Leon King all the best. That's for sure. Davey, the window remains open in a few places. It will close in the next couple of days. Are you expecting much action in terms of players going out? Would you see moves for your likes of your Matondos and things like that? Would you welcome anybody going out?
I'd certainly welcome Matondo off the wage bill. Well, whether Andy's crazy enough to do it, I don't actually know. I was kind of expecting Insiala to go somewhere. I know that he turned down to going to Dynamo Kiev and saying that who'd want to go to a war zone. So, but if he's going to stay around, I think Martin needs to think again about whether he wants to give that boy another chance, because him getting out on loan for me is actually just to get him game time, show what he can do, and I'm hoping he'll come back and still be a Rangers player, to be honest with you. Yes, he's raw. Yes, he wasn't the best defender in the world last year, but I think you need to take into account he'd only played, I don't know, was it 8 or 9 first-team games in his life? I think he might go out somewhere. Other than that, Matondo would be brilliant, but I'm not expecting that.
And what about you, Kenny? Have you got any high hopes for a late couple of exits?
Not really, no. I'd like to see Enciala go on loan somewhere, and if we can get Matondo off the wage bill somehow, that would be fantastic. And we could throw in Kieran Dowell as a sweetener for that as well. But apart from that, I don't see much happening at all. I don't know. I think is it Belgium and Poland. I don't know where else is still open. There's not many, is there? And I think Matondo's got a year left, hasn't he? So that's a kind of decision we're going to have to make. If he doesn't go anywhere, what do we do with that? Because he's not going to feature at all. Which isn't hardly surprising. He's not featured much in 3 years, has he? But you know what I mean. He's not in the plans at all. And yeah, as I say, the Enciala one, I agree with Davey. If he doesn't go anywhere, I would have him in the first team squad. He's a left-sided centre back. We need cover there. So for me, it would make sense anyway. Whether Russell Martin kind of fancies him or not, even just till January until we can get him out. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Not really expecting much, Stevie, but would be delighted if 1 or 2 would disappear.
Yeah, very nice lad on YouTube has set us on X rather has set us a challenge, lads. I reckon you 3 should take inspiration from the Man United fan that refused to cut his hair until we string 5 wins together. Good bit of publicity for the podcast. Thanks, mate.
That's plenty, Colin. That's all I'm going to say.
I knew you would pipe in there. I would. What about 5 draws? And come Saturday, we'll be done. So, yeah, thanks for that one. Let's talk a wee bit about Russell Martin. There isn't really much new Rangers news, but I wanted to talk about ahead of Hearts on Saturday. Davey, you and I will be in the gantry. What would you like to see from this? Is there a system change? Do you want to see 2 up front? will we stick to what we did against Celtic? Is there something to build on there by the fact that we were at least a bit more organised, or were we playing against the Celtic side who don't have their troubles to seek at this moment in time in terms of off-field stuff, but it doesn't really matter when they constantly churn out victories and things like that. What would you like to see ahead of Saturday?
Well, first of all, I'm expecting a Hearts team that's got a bit more about them going forward than Celtic had, to be honest with you. What I'm expecting and what I'm going to see is undoubtedly two different things, but I do think I'd love to see a way of doing two up front, but at the moment I'm struggling to see how we do it, because I also want wingers, and we're not going to play 4-2-4, are we? So I think a 4-2-3-1 is as good as we can fit our attacking system in. I've got a bit of a quandary when it comes to what tactics fit this Rangers squad best, because I genuinely think that at the back would be better having three centre-backs. I think Cornelius is a natural left-sided in a three. I think Giga would be better as a right-sided in a three, and Suter in the middle between them. I think that's a really good, solid-looking three at the back. But I don't know how I'd fit in the rest of the team when I do that. I don't know what I'd do with all the wingers that we've got. I would like to see a two up front, but I think 4-2-3-1 is the way to go short term. I'd like to see Asgard or Cameron at number 10. I actually quite fancy Cameron number 10 in a game like this, actually. And I think we've got to give the new guys a chance up front. I think we've got to do it. We can't spend 8 to 10 million quid and then say it's going to take time and we'll bring them on here, there and everywhere. I think we've got to give them a run. Although that doesn't sound right from Majovski, I think we've got to do it. So what am I expecting to see? I'm expecting to see Russell Martin's 4-3-3 making a comeback, and I'm expecting to see him going back to his philosophy, and I'm expecting to see Hearts score, and I'm expecting to see us chasing the game after it. But I hope I'm wrong.
There's a comment here from Scott. It says, Rothwell smokes 40 a day. I've never smoked in my life, and I want to smoke 40 a day watching this team. Kenny, ahead of Saturday, mate, what are you expecting? What would you like to see? And would you like to see? I'm desperate for two up front. I'm desperate for some shots at goal, first and foremost. But two up front would be a joy. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd love to see two up top as well. But we've said it forever. It's sorcery and it's wizardry and witchcraft and all these things these days. It's just not done, isn't it? So I would love to see Majovski and the new boy Chermiti in a partnership, see what they can do. It's almost like, and I know it's not, but it's almost like a big guy, wee guy, back to the 90s type of thing. But I also agree with Davey. If you do that, I don't know exactly how Russell Martin fits everybody in. I would go with a 3-5-2 there. I actually think that I totally agree with Davey. I think with the centre halves we have, we look as if a three at the back would actually suit us. But that remains to be seen because we haven't seen it, to be fair. So you don't know how it would actually work. But on paper, that looks quite tidy. But I also agree with David there with the wingers. You know, I don't know if any of them could play as wing backs, so to speak, and I wouldn't expect them to. So are you actually going to ask two holding midfielders, if it were, to come and play almost at left field? But I don't know. So I genuinely don't know. The good old-fashioned 4-4-2, two wingers, two centre forwards is ideal for me. But by all accounts, apparently it's a kind of thing that's coming back. So I keep hearing, but when I watch football and there's nobody playing 4-4-2, so I don't know. But I keep getting told this, that the analysts and stuff like that are looking and saying that the 4-4-2 is coming back slowly but surely. But I think the problem with the 4-4-2, as it were, is it's far too easy to play through at times as well. So it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, again, you could look at it and say something like a 3-4-3 might work. I don't know. But what do I want to see? I want to see us get the ball on the deck. I want to see us a massive, massive improvement in our team. And for all that Hearts have started well, we're at home at Ibrox. With the players we have, I'm not going to say I'm expecting us to win, but I expect us to go out there and perform and get 3 points because we need them. It's now at that point for me already, and we're barely hit September, Stevie, and we have to start winning games and winning them consistently, or everybody up there is going to be under stupid amounts of pressure, and we're getting too used to that. So I'd rather just see us kick on and go and take those 3 and 4 steps that we need to take to actually start looking like a decent football team.
Well, I'm thinking 3 at the back is where I would like to see us Cornelius, Suter and Giga. I don't see any of them getting dropped, which makes it kind of interesting for me. You could then have 2 wingers on the side. You could have a couple of defensive midfielders in there with a 10 and 2 strikers. We need to do something up front. That's my... We're at home. We're at home for a few games now. Got a few games run at Olivia away as well. These are going to be games where teams will sit in, and certainly Hibs and Hearts won't. But I would say that they're games that we're expected to take to them, which makes it interesting. I don't think we can play the way we have before the Celtic game when we were so open. So we can't go back to being like that. We need to get the mix of Celtic being the kind of template defensively. Although we weren't rock solid, we were much more organised, much more effort and things tracking back and everything else. And Celtic were poor as well as that. I think Davey's right when he says that Hearts will give us a wee bit more up front than they did, which I believe is right. But there's got to be a balance somewhere between getting defensive side of it right and attacking wise. That's why I really want to see 2 up front. I think Chermiti we paid too much for him to be somebody that we take our time with and not start. I think he has to play upside Miovski. And it's a couple of big guys up front. Both of them are fairly good at holding the ball up, we're led to believe, from Chermiti. Miovski's quite pacey. Davey, I'm dying. What I really want to see is to be excited. That's what I want to see. I want to see Rangers go and have a real go, and I don't mind if I would be sitting here after 4 draws and saying, right, okay, it's not been ideal, but at least we've played some good stuff. At least I can see it. At least I know where we're going. I haven't hit that yet, and I need to be able to hit that if I'm trying to believe in what we're doing here.
Yeah, I must admit, I very much doubt you'll get your wish of 2 up front. I would like to. In fact, even Steve Clark played 2 up front last week against Denmark, although it was a kind of 4-4-2. I think he played. I remember back in the days of Dick Advocat, he was a very 4-4-2 man, but he never ever played 2 wingers. There was either a winger on the right or a winger on the left, but there was never a winger in both. Yeah. And I don't know if we can have some kind of 4-4-2 system with maybe a Diamande or a Cameron playing in some kind of wide position and a winger on the other side. Then you can get your 2 up front in. But regardless of systems, we need to play faster. We need to play more intent. We need to try and get behind defences. Not as many safe passes. Not as much time in possession. Not as many backward moves. As you say, we're at home. We've got 50,000 behind us. 50,000 people who want to get excited and want to shout their team on. They don't want to be sitting there booing, but the team need to give them something. And the thing they give them is, if the Celtic game, yeah, it was full of effort, it was full of aggression, but it wasn't full of much in terms of quick tempo attacking football, and that's what we need to see. And we've brought in players who theoretically fit the bill. Gassam and Moore and Asgard and all these guys. They should be able to play that kind of system. Ant-Man as well. I keep going back to the Pilsen game. There was only 1 up front that night, but we played a lot faster. So maybe that is the template, but with a more solid midfield as well. So what do I expect to see? I keep going back to it. I've got this horrible feeling we're going to go back to his 4-3-3 again. Two number 8s, 1 striker, and lots of brave sideways passing. And I just hope I'm wrong about that.
Well, if it is like that, we'll certainly see loads of opportunities. They won't be for us, but we'll see it nonetheless. Kenny, question here from London. Surely it's untenable if we don't win this weekend. here's the thing. It might be untenable for us as a fan base. It probably was several weeks ago, and the majority of people after Bruges and stuff like that. I'm not sure it's untenable for those that actually run the club now, and that's the biggest thing. Like they by the way, the fan advisory board statement, the RSA statement, it was on complete deaf ears. So I'm not sure it makes a difference, but it's a fair question. If we don't win this weekend, is it untenable? My dog thinks so.
Yeah, Ali's in total agreement there, I think. Listen, this is a difficult one because you and I were on the night of the Bruges game, Steve, and we both actually said that's kind of it already. Now, with a little bit of hindsight, did we jump the gun a little bit too early? Possibly, I don't know.
Hold on.
But what I was going to say...
I don't think we did, and I'll explain that at the end, but go for it.
Sorry, what I was going to say is it just a reactionary emotional kind of outburst or what? And I've looked back on it, and I don't know is what I'm saying. Because I always try and be patient with stuff like this. I think you have to be when you take everything into consideration. But here's the boys mentioning Kevin Thelwell, and I was about to mention him myself. Here's where I have an issue now, actually, is Kevin Thelwell turned around and said last week in his RTV interview that he feels that Russell Martin's one of the best coaches he's ever worked with. Now, if you actually look and be realistic about this, if he doesn't win any of his next 3 games, Thelwell's going to probably have to sack one of the best coaches he's ever worked with. And that, to me, was a little bit of a naive statement. There's other ways of putting that without putting that added pressure on yourself, because make no mistakes, Russell Martin is under pressure. He is. Whether that means that if we don't win or on Saturday against Hearts, that he's going to go, I probably don't think so. I don't think the board will pull that trigger yet. But in the eyes and minds of the supporters, it will be made up categorically, because I think most people feel that way as it is, Stevie. And for me, on this, if you've not won any of your first 5 league games, you have a major, major problem. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. Davey, does the pressure then switch towards Kevin Thelwell, because he has pretty much put his balls on the chopping block by backing this manager? He spent a lot of money, came out with a statement like that. As Kenny says, defeat against Hearts, 9 points potentially. You can more or less rule out that already. Defeat to Hibs in the League Cup. It's pretty much unbearable thinking, to be honest with you. I don't think crowds would survive that. I don't think the crowds would survive it anyway. It's starting to tail off quite a bit. The pressure then surely begins to look at Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart.
Absolutely. I mean, I suppose this is all very worst case scenario we're talking about here. If the worst came to the worst and we were to lose these next 2 games at home, Ibrox will be absolute poison. It'll be a horrible, horrible place to be. And I don't think Russell Martin will be the only one that will be in the target for the abuse, to be honest with you. I think Kevin Thelwell will be, and Patrick Stewart will get it as well. But they always made it perfectly clear that, in his view, the head coach is part of a long-term plan, and he's not going to knee-jerk too quickly. But at the same time, him and Russell Martin continually talk about the importance of results. They keep talking about it. In fact, back in the summer, they said, we understand that there's no room for anything other than hitting the ground running. There's no honeymoon period. Well, correct, there won't be. Now, it sounds as if they are willing to give Martin time regardless of these next couple of results. That's what it sounds like. I just hope we don't find out the level of abuse that will appear in the stands at Ibrox if we were to lose these next 2 games. I hope we win them and we never have to find that out. But if we were to lose those 2 games, Thelwell will need to take the flak if he wants to stand behind Russell Martin, because the fans are pretty much unanimous as it is, without having lost those other 2 games, if you know what I mean. I think 99% will become 100%. And it's then a case of how long Thelwell will want to stand behind his previous words and how long he'll want to protect himself. Because if it gets to the point where you're talking about, and there's demonstrations outside the front door and that kind of stuff, there's many a chief executive and many a board member, many a chairman, many a director of football have said one thing and then they see that happening and they quickly find out that self-preservation takes over. It wouldn't surprise me if that was to happen again. Although I hope it never comes to that, obviously.
Well, let's remember that Patrick Stewart backed Philippe Clement only to sack him the weekend after. So I think it's words for it being words on a club publication, etc. Kenny, of course, that is the pessimistic way to look at it. There's no better time for Russell Martin and Rangers to start winning than now. Hearts, Hibs, is it Genk, I think, in the Europa as well. Travelling to Livingston. This is an ideal opportunity to start flipping the opinion. Now, opinion has went against him quite quickly. It'll not be so easy to flip it. But he has to start somewhere. If we can see some attacking football, get some results, then you're not going to get a better opportunity than trying to flip it at this moment in time. Because as sad as it is, Hearts and Hibs victories would represent a couple of good results and something to build on.
Yeah, of course. As with the Genk game, that would be a good start. Going to Livy and getting a win would be good as well. However, for me, all four of them are must-win games. They're winnable games, and if you want to get a decent start in the Europa League, you have to win your first game. It's at home, I believe, isn't it? So, you need to win that. The Hearts and Hibs games, both at Ibrox, beat them. We have a better squad of players than the pair of them. I expect to win that game. And going away to Livy, yeah, we should be getting the 3 points. Getting away from that. So I expect to win all four games. Whether that's realistic or not, the way the state we're in to a certain degree, then who knows? We'll wait and see. I've looked a wee bit at the comments here, Stevie, and on the Thelwell thing on Russell Martin, I think it's very interesting the way people feel about it. And all I would add to this is that what we have to remember here is Thelwell is the sporting director or the director of football, whatever it's called. Russell Martin is only the head coach. He is not the manager. He is a coach. He is there to make this team better. He is there to get this squad of players and make them better. And we have to see signs of that. And that's where the pressure's coming from. And it's okay for Kevin Thelwell and the board to turn around and say that they'll give them that little bit of time and that bit of patience. But the fans aren't giving them that. And it's because it's been a rank rotten start to our season, and that's the problem. But I just think it is important to mention that, Stevie, that he's a coach. He's actually the head coach, as I say. He's not the manager. So Kevin Thelwell is where the buck stops on this, if you know what I mean, in terms of the owners. But on those four games, Stevie, yeah, the games against the Edinburgh sides, we have to win. It's that simple. And the Genk game is a must-win because of the European situation. And we just need to get on a roll, Stevie. We have to get winning.
Yeah, preferably soon. Okay, so Nico Raskin, it rages on. Scored last night for Belgium against Kazakhstan. By all accounts, had an absolute wonderful game. Bossed the midfield. He said last night, "My situation at the club is a bit complicated," has been quoted in the media as saying following Belgium's win. "I'm going to go back, do the best I can to sort it out and get some playing time. But it doesn't just depend on me. It depends on the coach and the club. I'll do my best because I know this is an important year and I absolutely want to be part of the campaign with Belgium. That's football. There are ups and downs. The truth is I love this club so much. I've had some wonderful times here and have a great relationship with the fans. I try to give back to them as much as I can. I still hope we can find a solution to all of this. A transfer? No, that's out of the question. I want to continue to resolve this at this club." Okay, Davey, I've got a lot to say about this. I have already said a lot on it. What's your thoughts on this situation?
Well, my thoughts on the situation are I'm a bit happier about it than I was just prior to the Celtic game when I thought he'd played his last game for us. He's making it pretty clear that he doesn't want to leave Rangers, which is great. That's most definitely something we want to hear. There's obviously still some stuff to sort out behind the scenes, and I think whatever it is that's needing sorting out, it's not just one person who needs to change. I think it's probably more than one, and that includes the player himself. I don't see anything in what he said last night that makes me think that he's desperate to sign on any longer than he's already contracted to Rangers. So I think for his point of view, he needs to get back into the team. Him getting back into the team improves your team straight away because he is our best midfield player. I think that him playing well, playing regularly, helps him in terms of his ambitions for the World Cup next year, so that suits club and player. But I also think that unless he commits longer than what he's committed to so far, somehow, then it'll be interesting to see what happens in January. Because although I know he says he doesn't want to go, and I get all that, but the club, if Nico Raskin's only got 18 months left and he's not making any overtures to sign on any longer than that, I don't know if the club will want him still to be a Rangers player next summer when it's only 1 year left and he's away to the World Cup. So I hope it gets sorted. I do think that there's probably wrongs on both sides. The team needs him. We're better with him. But it would be good, in however they sort it out, that we look longer than just the next few games and what he's going to do in terms of his Rangers career beyond this next few games.
Kenny, your thoughts on this?
I've got plenty, but I'll try and keep it quite short, mate. So, playing Nico Raskin as a number 8 is all very good and well. Playing him almost as on a wide left position, trying to do that is a nonsense. Right, I'm not having it, and I don't care what Russell Martin's trying to do. You have a Belgian number 6 who plays in that pivot with 2 6s, and he's always the guy that will play slightly farther forward. He is not, and he can play a number 8, but he's not left-sided, and it's not fair on the boy to do that. There's too many, square pegs and round holes in this team already. You look at the amount of, Suter, Aaron's playing out of position, swapping the wingers, for the Celtic game didn't make any sense to me. Diamandi playing on the right when he's left-footed. It's just been a nonsense with this, and it's kind of confusing me. So if it's confusing us as fans, I dread to think what it's like in that dressing room at times, where you've got guys. Rothwell's another one who's basically an 8 playing as a 6 on his own. There's too much of this. So when it comes to Nico Raskin, he's our best player. I don't think there's any doubt in that. I think he's our most talented, naturally talented player. You don't get a game for that Belgian side without being quality. It's that simple. So the notion that you can bring a boy up from Bournemouth and he's not an international player, he's struggled almost from the get-go on Joe Rothwell, and tell us that this is a better option than Nico Raskin when we've been watching Nico Raskin for 2.5 years is just part of Russell Martin's issue. I think Nico, being that boy that is quite prepared to speak up, isn't going to help him in a situation where it looks to me like Russell Martin, when you think of the incident after the Motherwell game where he threw them under a bus, you think of the way he was talking about Hamza Egerman. I think he wants robots. I don't think he wants individuals in his team. I think he wants robots in his team. Just follow instruction and it'll all come good for you. And there's too many. This is Rangers, and I expect any football player that's not convinced by what they're trying to do to pipe up. And I don't think our head coach is liking that very much at this minute in time. And for me, the one thing I would agree with Davey on that there is that if he's not going to sign a contract, we have an issue. In January, we will have an issue. but I also feel that that's Nico last night coming out with that statement. You know, it's not a statement. He was asked about it, and coming out with that is him telling you will not determine this, I will, and he's perfectly entitled to do that. It's his contract. Rangers gave him it, and that's where it is. The issue I have is that between the head coach and our best player, who was a captain at our football club last season, let's not forget that. I think our head coach needs to show him a little bit more respect. I think Nico Raskin needs to show our head coach a bit more respect as well. Get your heads banged together and get this sorted. And if you can't, I think that is a tragedy, actually. There has to be a little bit of give from a head coach with something like this. You have to be realistic and actually understand that if there's 50,000 people in the stadium know that you're wrong, and that player knows that you're wrong, 50,001 people are not wrong. It's you that's wrong.
On Nico Raskin, just a couple of things from me. I said a few weeks ago when this was all going on that Nico Raskin loves his football club, wants to be here, and is very happy and doesn't want to go anywhere. That got a bit of traction. I got a bit of stick for that. I was accused of all sorts of stuff. Lo and behold, Nico Raskin has come out and said it himself. Everybody going on about Nico Raskin's contract. You need to offer Nico Raskin a contract for him to sign it. That's the first thing. Second thing is Nico Raskin is by far our best player at this football club, by far. He's a Belgian international who's potentially going to be one of the top 4 teams at the World Cup next year, and we're pissing about with players that can't even lace his boots in the football team. That's clear to me. And by the way, the worst thing about it is Nico Raskin in that setup against Celtic, sitting as one of the twos, next to Rothwell most likely, would have been exceptional. Next to Diamande would have been exceptional in that formation. That's exactly how we need to play with Nico Raskin in the team. Go and win the ball, go and press, go and hunt it and give it to somebody else. Get forward. He's weirdly an aerial threat from set pieces. For one of the smallest wee guys, giant to me, obviously. But he's, from that point of view, he adds so much to the team as well. And there's a responsibility of ours as a football club to try and make sure that we can get the best out of our best players. And he's also an asset. So we talk about this much fabled transfer, selling players on and everything else. Well, Nico Raskin's a £15 million asset and we're pissing about. Shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen in the slightest. As for the story in the Sun about senior players and stuff like that, categorically, I don't believe that in the slightest. And secondly, I think that this whole thing has been blown way out of proportion by a manager who simply hasn't handled it well. If Barry Ferguson and Neil McCann can handle Nico Raskin, then there's absolutely no reason why Russell Martin can't. So that needs to be... and by the way, questioning somebody over tactics and things like that, as long as it's done properly, shouldn't be a big deal for players and managers. That should happen. It should get on and everybody should pull together. If people aren't, then that needs fixed. Nico Raskin, for me, has to play. He has to play for a number of reasons, not only for our best player, but for an asset, but because of what he can actually bring to the team. And he has a responsibility as well to get his head down, kiss some arse, get back in the team and prove that he's good enough to be there. And by the way, help Rangers win. That's key for him. He needs to do that. He needs to be part of it. So to be honest, it's a crap situation that we could have avoided with better management and handled it better with better management as well. The whole situation with Celtic game was farcical as well, not involving him and asking him to stay away and everything else, and it needs to be fixed. That's where I'm at, Davey. I think Russell Martin, for me, I'm not blaming him for everything because that's not the way of it, in my opinion, but as a football club, as a manager, he should have handled this a lot better than he has.
I couldn't agree with you more. And he also shouldn't have treated us like mugs at the press conference and started alluding to the fact that Raskin was training when he actually was training by himself. We kind of missed that important bit out. I totally agree with you. I'm slightly surprised that you said that he hasn't been offered an extension to his contract yet. That would surprise me if that was the case. And you know the club better than I do. But I certainly remember Dujon Sterling and social media and during the summer urging Raskin to sign the contract as if he had been offered something. I mean, he let his contract run down at his last club, didn't he? Because we got him relatively cheaply because he was in a bit of a dispute with his previous club and his contract was running down. We can't go into that situation. We can't. So as part of this whole resolution in which Russell Martin needs to start acting like an adult and Nico Raskin starts behaving a wee bit more professionally in the dressing room, if those two things both happen, a contract extension has to be the next part of that conversation. Yes, play him every week, play him in his best position, play the system that he fits best in. Absolutely, I agree with all that. He is undoubtedly our best player. But at some point, his future needs to be ironed out one way or the other. And if he doesn't want to sign on, love the club or not, then in January we'll get a decision to make.
Kenny, anything more to add on this situation? I'm a wee bit, we've discussed it a few times. I'm a wee bit pissed off. It should never ever have got to this point with us for a football club. It's just more drama when honestly we just don't need it.
It's that red flag stuff, isn't it? We've seen the situation with Hamza. We've seen it with Nico Raskin here. We've watched a 6-0 pasting, which is quite possibly one of the worst performances I've ever witnessed as a Rangers fan. There's red flags all over the place, Stevie. And as I say, it's okay. And Davey said that there as well about his press conferences of late. They've been rather tetchy. He's not telling you the whole truth. There was that other thing about the relationship. How can a relationship break down when you're truthful and honest? No, I was truthful and honest with plenty of people, mate, and I don't talk to them now. Relationships break down whether you're truthful and honest or not because you don't see eye to eye in things. And it's for the betterment of our football club. And this is what kind of is pissing me off about it is nobody in here is denying this. Nico Raskin should be in this Rangers team. Everybody understands this. There's not a Rangers fan out there doesn't realise this. So is he a trouble? A bit of a nuisance in the dressing room? Possibly. Is he questioning the tactics? More than likely. But everybody else is. Russell, we need to understand this. Everybody's questioning your tactics at this moment in time. Everybody. And is he not following instruction? Possibly. But then again, is he capable of doing it if you're pushing him out in the almost, right on the touchline at times? I just find it insane to see Nico Raskin playing there. I don't understand it. Where you're trying to get. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, Stevie. He got himself into a terrific position down by the left. He tried to cross a ball in at the touchline, the byline, remember? And he couldn't do it because he was at full pelt trying to get his left foot wrapped around it and it came to nothing. It's the most unnatural thing. If Modi Amandi or Thilo Asgard was there, that's exactly what he'd have done. If you'd put Nico Raskin on the right-hand side, he'd have whipped it back to the back stick. Play people in their natural positions and you'll get a better outcome from the tactics that you're trying to play. I just think I hate saying this because I don't want to just feel as if I'm just sticking the boot into this guy all the time. But I just think he's just far up here. He just thinks he's far too clever for his own good. And Davey's right. I think his press conferences haven't been clever of late. So for me, if you've got a Belgian international on your hands and he's temperamental, then between the football department, the lot of you, whether it's the head coach and Thelwell, the rest of the coaching staff, get this ironed out and get that boy playing in his natural position. Because trust me, Rangers are a better team when he's playing for us.
Kenny, thank you as ever, mate, for your contributions this evening. I really appreciate it.
Not at all, mate. I'll go and watch this rubbish on the telly. No. Thanks for having me on, guys. Enjoyed that.
Davey, mate, thank you, mate, for your contributions this evening. Tell the folks a wee bit about the Jock Wallace documentary just before we leave you.
Yeah, sure. My managerial Rangers hero would have been 90 years old last Saturday. He was born 1935, and we decided that we would want to pay tribute to Mr. Wallace, so we created a little 55-minute tribute film for him, where we not only told the story of his managerial career, his life away from football, we've also got some video and clips from his son John and from Gordon Smith, who played for him with Rangers. So I think it came together quite well. I must admit, I'm quite happy with it. I think it's a decent watch, and if the members have seen it, then I hope they've enjoyed it too. Certainly, it's an absolute labour of love for me, though.
It's certainly not a decent watch, Davey. It's an absolutely outstanding watch, to one of the best and most, or should be the most celebrated figures in our history. That's for sure. Jock Wallace is an absolute legend of this football club. Members can find that online. If you're a YouTube member, you can go and find that online. It is available for you to watch. If you want to become a YouTube member, you can. For as little as 99p a month, you are helping support the club and joining 600 other strong. We really, really appreciate it. So please go and watch that. Members will see various other competitions and interviews as well. Kamar Roof was on last week with Derek, which you can go and catch up on as well, which is fantastic for us to have that on. We're working very hard on getting more guests to come on as well. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Thousands of you again watching across all the platforms. We really love it. And let's be honest, there wasn't a lot to discuss, but we tried our best to give you a show, at least, folks, joined by Davey and Kenny. We really, really appreciate it. Good luck to the national team tonight. John Suter starts, so good luck to Scotland in their game in Belarus. And thanks to all our sponsors for joining us and supporting us in everything we do. Jim Mando and the team at Rhino Express, absolutely invaluable. Their support, really, really top guys, as well as all the team at Clydeview joining me, Ian and the boys, AFO Industrial Solutions, and Carlo, etc. CSD Air Conditioning. Honestly, couldn't do it without you lads, so really appreciate it. And our partners, Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Folks, have a fantastic evening. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Kenny and I will be back on Wednesday night. I really hope there's something to discuss then. Otherwise, I'll just be looking at a couple of bald heads instead of 3. Maybe we'll get Kai on to add some hair. Anyway, you have a good night, folks. Take care. Catch you all again.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, AFO Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.